Great CEOs are lazy. It's funny, I got this book when I was going through a period of life where I was working harder, I was hustling, and the book grabbed my attention because I actually saw it being reviewed online, and they were basically talking about how CEOs should be thinking. And at that time, I was identifying myself as a CEO, but deep down I knew I wasn't really acting in accordance to that. And to be honest, the title is a bit tongue-in-cheek because great CEOs aren't lazy. But to the outside world and to you as a coach, they may seem lazy. Because if you put all your work of productivity down to being busy and being kept in a place where you're constantly doing something, then you could look at someone else who has created time in their calendar to give them space to think as someone who may be lazy. At least I definitely thought that myself, because I was used to client check-ins, getting back to messages and doing things on 2x speed all day, and I loved it. You get a thrill from it, but it was almost like I was running in chaos. I was doing things that were urgent to do, but I was definitely neglecting things that were important to do and that would actually build a business long term. What the book is really about, and what I'm going to be talking you through in this video, is not about working less and becoming lazy, but it's using your time more intentionally. It's allowing yourself to make bigger decisions for yourself and for your business. With all the coaches that I've worked with, they all have understood that they need to get better with their time and that they need to be doing different things with their business, but oftentimes that hasn't actually led to them moving forward with it. And you may be in exactly the same position. So this isn't a video just to tell you you need to be better with your time, you need to make better decisions. I want to actually give you practical ways that we can think about it and implement it. And I want to start here with the Eisenhower matrix. So this was a model that I fell in love with when I first heard about it, because it was something that got me to think about my time differently. So as a coach, where do you think we spend a lot of our time, especially the busy coaches, like I was speaking about earlier in the video? It's usually here. It's on tasks that are urgent and important. So client calls, client check-ins, sales calls that you're doing. These are things that are urgent and they're important to be done. So it's not stopping yourself from doing that. That isn't what we're looking to do today, because as I said, this is very crucial for you and for the business. But what we want to ensure is we don't want to keep only our time there, because if we do, that is going to be beneficial for today, but I want to help you build a business that's beneficial for you in 12 months time. And how are we going to do that? We actually need to be here. So we need to be in tasks that are important, but they're not urgent. Think about the things and the projects that you have on your to-do list, and they always get kicked to the next day or kicked to next week. Or there's something that you're like, yeah, I know I need to be doing that, but you never get around to it. Why? Because we're spending a lot of time here, but we can also be spending a lot of time down here as well. So I want to talk you through what you should be doing at each of these stages. So urgent and important, we just do. Like simple as that. We just need to do the task here and get it done. But we need to decide when we're going to be doing the tasks that are important but not urgent. So this is planning time in your week where you're like, okay, I need to decide to do that then, because going back to that, client check-ins, client messages, DMs, sales calls, you will get it done. So we don't need to decide on doing it, but we do need to schedule this in. Things that are not important and not urgent, we can wait on them or we can delete them ultimately. So there might be something you're like, okay, it's not important, it's not urgent, we can wait to do it. Or if it's something you can completely delete from your schedule. So let's not spend too much time there. And then tasks that are urgent, but they're not important, this is what you want to be delegating. So tasks that you're like, okay, this is urgent to get done, but me as a business owner, it's not actually important for me to do it. So these are things that you can be delegating. So what we need to decide to do and what we need to schedule in, what we need to make sure we're consistently doing, and what we need to delegate. Where do I see the trap with coaches? Probably staying in these two columns here of doing the things that are urgent and important and doing the things that are urgent and not important, which then doesn't free up time to be doing this. So we want to start delegating this and deciding to do this. Now what I want us to do is start thinking specifically about your business. This is something I love doing with my clients, especially when they get to a point in business when there is more demands on them and we need to look at their time and be more effective and efficient with what they're doing in the business and what their old identity needs to leave behind. So we call this the CEO audit, and there's going to be things you need to stop doing and start doing, and I want to talk you through them right now. So if we go back to the Eisenhower matrix, the things we want to stop doing are either things we're going to delegate going forward or delete going forward. So I want you thinking in those two camps. It might be something you're completely getting rid of, a bad habit of yours, or it's just something you've been doing that you want to delegate moving forward. And the thing is that we're going to start doing, again, the important and urgent things, which are your check-ins, your like sending DMs, your calls, they're getting done anyway. So we want to be thinking about what are the things we want to be scheduling in the day. Okay, so energy, something we want to stop doing from an energy standpoint. So this could be as simple as when you wake up, you might check your phone straight away. You might go go on WhatsApp and check messages from clients, go on your email, and it just puts the day at a chance of being off to a bad start. It doesn't mean it always happens. You could wake up and you have a client message and they're celebrating a win and it's a great start to the day. But if you were planning to go into a block of creativity to work on the business, you're giving that a chance for it to be affected. So we want to stop doing something like that. So that's an example. You might already have that in place. So I want you thinking for your business, what is it you need to stop doing from an energy perspective? And then think about something that you want to start doing. So what is it from an energy standpoint that you feel is going to help you out? So this could be as simple as, okay, first thing in the morning, I'm getting up and going out for a walk before I do anything. I'm not bringing my phone with me and I'm actually just going out to think. I'm going to think about the day ahead, what I want to get done. So again, simple things that you can be doing. They're just hypothetical examples. I want you thinking about you and your business. Okay, execution. What is something we want to stop doing from an execution standpoint? Something that might be familiar to you is waiting for something to be perfect. That offer of yours you're thinking of doing, that program on, that update you're making within the business, that you're waiting for it to be perfect and you just kick the can down the road and you continue to procrastinate it. Something that I'm actually feel quite lucky that I am this way is I actually don't mind things not being fully perfect and just getting them out there, because when we get them out there, we can see what happens and we can refine and we can improve things. So maybe for you from an execution standpoint, it's stop kind of doing half project and then just leaving them because they're not perfect and then you feel overwhelmed and then you procrastinate it. So what are we going to start doing instead? We're going to start creating a deadline for you where you're like, okay, this is the deadline and this is the date it's going out. Regardless of what happens, I'm going to get it done for this date. Put yourself under pressure and make sure that's in place for you. Again, this is just examples, but I want you thinking about yourself and your own business. And then from a revenue perspective, we always want to be thinking like, what are we doing to drive revenue and growth forward in the business? So is there something you need to stop doing? Is it that thing that you know you need to increase your price, but every sales call that you get on, you keep going back to the price that's comfortable and familiar for you? Is that something you need to stop doing? Stop holding yourself back and limiting your belief on the price that you know that you're worth. And then what is it we want to start doing from a revenue perspective? Have you said to yourself, I get amazing client results, I get referrals quite easily just from clients referring people without me even asking. So could I have an actual referral process in place? Have I thought that through? Maybe you have, but have you actually put time, effort into planning that and putting something in place? Maybe not. So is that something you need to start doing from a revenue perspective? So hopefully you found that helpful. If you actually want me to send you over this exactly with examples for you and a video of me going through it, just message me on Instagram down below with the word CEO and I'll actually share with you the full document so you can do it for yourself. What we're about to talk through is going to be the most important of all, because regardless of what you have written down on paper and what you're planning to do, without it actually getting done, what's the point in it? And we're going to strip things back to how you're waking up each and every day. And I want to talk you through essentially the 4 characters that you're going to have in your day. At least these are the 4 characters I have in my day. And since I've implemented this, it's massively helped me in knowing what I need to be doing at different stages and actually respecting each character, which is what I want you taking from this. You actually need to show respect to each of the characters. So first up, we have the creator. So the creator is the person who is working on the business, is allowed time to think, to be creative, and, you know, just being away from the weeds of the business. This is essentially going back to tasks that are important, but they're not urgent to be doing. This is the time when you're in your creator zone. So for me, for example, this morning, I had a creator block and I was preparing for YouTube videos today. So I was spending time in my creator block, being like, okay, first up, what am I thinking for the title of the YouTube? Next up, what am I thinking for the thumbnail? And then going into the actual YouTube video itself. So that was something that I was doing this morning. But if I tried to do that, you know, after a day of client calls and check-ins, then the work wouldn't have been as productive and it wouldn't have allowed me to get into the zone that I need to be in. So again, we want to respect the characters that we're in. Next up, we have the athlete. So this is your time training. For me, going to the gym, I have that pretty much locked in at the same time every day. I won't ever, you know, take calls during that time or work during that time. I respect the version of me who's an athlete and I show up for that each and every day. Then we have the leader. So the leader is when we're actually doing a bit more reactive work. So this is kind of going back to, you know, you may have calls booked in, you might have client check-ins, you might have messages to get back to, you might have the team to get back to. This is actually being okay with it not being as planned in terms of needing that specific time. And that's something I actually want to touch on, because a lot of times we think everything needs to be like planned to the like smallest degree, but that's usually when you don't end up sticking to a plan at all. So for me, this is literally the way that I think about it. If I have a 3-hour block in the morning, so I do this 7 to 10 a.m. If I do exactly what I want to do in that time, I've won the day. I've literally won the day, because I know I'm going to the gym after, and when I get back from the gym, I'm going to have calls, I'm going to be getting back to clients, I might have some other bits to get done. But I know with that and that being done, you know, everything has been taken care of. You can get a lot done in a 3 hour block. And also you'll be surprised by doing that consistently. The amount of projects that you get to work on and the amount you get to improve in all different areas of the business is huge. So that's 7 to 10 a.m. Then this is usually around 10 a.m. to around 12-ish that I'd be kind of like going to the gym, getting back, eating, etc., etc. And then I usually would start between 12 and 1. We'll put down like 1 p.m. to about 7 p.m. So that's going to be my leader block. So again, during this time, I feel like, okay, I've trained, I've had a 3 hour block. So what am I doing now? Getting back to clients and serving them in the best way possible, getting back to my team and serving them in the best way possible. And any other bits that kind of come my way during that day will be done in the leader block. And then finally, but definitely one of the most important of all, it's after 7 p.m. becoming a human. Because at the end of the day, what are we doing this for? Like, why are we building the business? To allow ourselves to live the life. And, you know, if you have important people in your life, giving them time, giving them attention, very, very important. And you need to also respect this massively. So thinking back to the task we had in the CEO audit, I now want you looking at your day in this way across the week. One thing I will note as well, like you might have different days where it's a busier check-in day for you, and maybe the leader like has to go in here as well. And that's fine if you have a day like that. And then you're like, okay, I just need to know on a different day of the week, I might do a bigger block on the creator or whatever it may be. So this is something I'd like you to implement. Okay, team. So where we've got to so far, we've gone through the Eisenhower matrix. So from that, I hope you're clear on kind of just being able to identify, you know, the different things that go on day to day in your business and knowing like, okay, I know I need to keep doing these things. I know these are things that are important. I need to start scheduling for them. You probably know now what things you're probably doing that as a business owner and the individual you want to get to, you may need to delegate them. They might not be that important for you to be doing anymore. And then from there, actually being able to look at your own business and saying, okay, where's my energy going? How am I executing? And am I executing as the person that I want to be? What's happening from like a revenue perspective in terms of the business that I know is holding me back and I know would push me a lot forward? And then from there, and getting that clarity around things, looking at your individual day of like, okay, there's so much that can go on in a day. There's many different paths that I can be pulled on. So how do I ensure I protect, you know, that morning block that I know I need to be selfish with this time? I know there's things that need to be done. How can I be in that creative block and be selfish? How can you also look after yourself and your body and show up as the best version of yourself? So then when you're back, you're in that leader block and you're there to serve your clients and any potential future clients that you have in the best way possible. So that's the point we've got to so far. Now just to zoom out from the day slightly, I want us to look at a calendar, whether it's across a week or across a month. And your competitive advantage over a lot of other coaches is going to be the blank space that you can create in your week. So what I want to do is show you a calendar of mine from 2 years ago. So on this calendar, you'll see, yes, I've had some blank space there because I was on the road to essentially getting where I want. But across Monday to Friday, there was calls on every day and a lot of calls. And it took a lot of energy from me. But I was at a point in business where, you know, that's what I needed to do at that moment in time. However, what's really, really important is if I was still in that position, then there would be, you know, something different. So I also want to show you my 2026 calendar and just so you can see the comparison of it. So yes, I'm still taking calls in the specific week, calls with my team, calls with our community, and some individual one-to-one calls as well. But you'll see a stark difference in the amount that I'm taking. I've created more free time and open space for me. And you'll see specifically on Monday and Fridays, I don't take any calls. These are the days that essentially drive the business forward. Every Monday for me, I'm thinking, how am I getting ahead this week? What am I doing to ensure I get ahead? Because guess what? When I get to Tuesday, which is a big client delivery day for me, you know, getting back to all one-to-one clients and feedback for them every single week when I wake up on a Tuesday, I feel I've already won the week. I've served myself, I've served the business in the way that I want, and then I'm there to serve my clients in the best way for them. That's why they get the results they do. That's why they have the experience that they have by setting things up in that way, protecting my boundaries and then being able to give back in the best way possible for them. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is essentially where I follow the block of creator in the morning, athlete, leader, and having that where it's like, hey, I know I'm going to be like on a good few calls. It's probably not going to be a day where I get like leaps and leaps ahead with the business. If I'm consistent with, you know, everything from a content perspective, a sales perspective, a delivery perspective, that's good. And then I use the Monday and the Friday as a big, okay, what are like important projects I need to be working on that I can move forward with now, and looking at the data, seeing where the opportunities are, seeing where things need to improve. So that's my Monday and Friday. So for you, it's looking at your week in the same way. What can you be doing to create more space for you? Can you give yourself a day where maybe it's your lowest client delivery day and you really have a day to focus on, you know, a bigger project for the business? And you may even be at a point of like, I know this is important, but I don't even know what I should be, you know, working on or thinking about. If that's you, definitely subscribe to the channel, because the next YouTube I'll be breaking down for you during that time that you have free space, what should you be thinking about and what you should be actually working on so you can move your specific business forward. One of the biggest things I want you to take away from today is, without blank space in your calendar, you're always going to be reacting, you're always going to be firefighting, and you're always going to be responding to the thing that needs you next, and you end up getting pulled in a lot of different directions. And yes, okay, you can feel productive and you can feel good and it's been a busy day, but has your business moved forward in the way that you want? If you look over the last 3 months, 6 months or 12 months, if it's not, and your vision for where you want to go and the business you want to build, it's essentially creating that time for yourself. It's creating that free space so you can be more creative, so you can look for opportunities, so you can solve more problems. That's what I want you to think about. And as I said, in the next YouTube, I'm going to be breaking down specifically what you're going to be thinking about. Great CEOs are lazy. Our great business owners are lazy. Our great coaches are lazy. I think from the video, you know, that's not the case. But what you have learned is they're just a lot more intentional with their time. So if you can go away from this video and saying, okay, for me, I don't hold my worth towards being busy. I hold my worth to how I'm thinking and how I then operate off my way of thinking. If you can take away that and everything we went through in this video, you're going to become a much better business owner.